Stone tools pulled from sealed soil beneath the oldest known human artifacts in North America. Not beside them, underneath them. Most of us learned in school that the Clovis people were first. The original Americans, around 13,000 years ago, end of story. The tools at a creek bank in central Texas were in undisturbed soil below the Clovis layer. Peer-reviewed, published. Still being argued about right now. That site is number 1 on this list. We're not starting there. Texas Exposed covers what the tourism boards decided not to. The real ages, the real debates, and the honest note when science has already moved on and the legend hasn't caught up. If that's what you want every week, subscribe now. We'll be here. These are 12 ancient Texas structures no one can fully explain. Number 12, Waco Mammoth National Monument. In 1978, 2 men hunting arrowheads near the edge of Waco spotted a large bone jutting from a ravine wall. Baylor University identified it as the femur of a Columbian mammoth. Over the next 2 decades, excavations in McLennan County turned up the remains of 24 of them. Roughly 100 miles south of Dallas, in a suburban fringe that today sits next to a highway on-ramp. These were not scattered individuals. This was a nursery herd, the only recorded group of its kind for this species anywhere in the country. They died together approximately 65,000 years ago. The original story was a single flash flood. That red made sense, and people ran with it. Then newer bone and soil analysis started complicating the picture. Many of the young animals showed signs of starvation, severe enough that their bodies had begun reabsorbing calcium from their own bones. 3 separate death events, not one. That points to prolonged drought, not a single catastrophic moment. Here's the honest catch. This one is largely solved. The mammoths aren't a human mystery. They're a paleontological argument about drought versus flood. A question science is actively closing, not permanently open. What it does is correct the version you probably heard first. The mammoths aren't the mystery. The mystery is why we thought we understood them. Number 11, Lost Pines of Bastrop County. About 30 miles east of Austin, in a landscape that receives roughly 30% less rainfall than the forests to its east, there is a 13-mile belt of loblolly pines that has no business being there. The nearest comparable stand is the East Texas Piney Woods, more than 100 miles away. These 2 populations look nearly identical. Genetically, they are. Pollen records place pines in Bastrop County for over 18,000 years. The explanation is real and worth sitting with. This is a relict population, the compressed, surviving remnant of an Ice Age forest that once covered a far larger area. As the climate warmed after the last glacial maximum, the forest contracted and retreated, and this pocket simply refused to die. It adapted to less water. It held on. Walking into those pines, you are inside a forest that the surrounding landscape stopped supporting 10,000 years ago. An Ice Age ecosystem still running in real time, 30 miles from downtown Austin. The science on what it is sounds settled. How it survived in isolation this long remains only partly understood, which is why researchers still call it a living fossil instead of a case closed. Some mysteries survive not because they're unsolvable, but because they outlasted the world that made them. Number 10, Paint Rock Pictographs, Concho County. 2 miles from the town of Paint Rock in west central Texas, a 70-foot limestone cliff runs along the Concho River. More than 1,500 pictographs cover it. Animals, people, handprints, symbols, painted in reds, yellows, blacks, and whites from iron oxides, carbon, and chalk. Different hands, different ages, stacked over thousands of years on the same stretch of rock. In the late 1980s and into the 1990s, researchers Kay and Fred Campbell documented something that changed how people looked at the site: solar alignments. An equinox feature they called the Sunshine Path. A winter solstice figure they named the Flower Shield. Around 50 figures, by their count, lining up with solstices, equinoxes, and cross-quarter days. Picture this. You're standing at the cliff face at sunrise on the winter solstice. Light moves across the stone and lands on specific painted figures in sequence. Whether that is deliberate astronomical tracking or a coincidence that keeps looking more deliberate the longer you study it. That is exactly the argument still being made by researchers who know this site better than anyone. The paintings are real. The alignments are real. The calendar reading is one interpretation of what they mean, not a settled conclusion. Real art, real light, real debate. Just don't call it proven. Number 9, Presidio de San Saba, Menard County. 1 mile west of Menard, in the Texas Hill Country, the reconstructed walls of Presidio San Luis de las Amarillas stand in open grassland. Built in 1757, this was the largest Spanish colonial fort in Texas. Its walls ran 5 feet thick, rose 15 to 20 feet high, enclosed a garrison, and were positioned to protect a nearby Franciscan mission intended to convert the local Apache population. The mission lasted less than a year. In March 1758, a force estimated at roughly 2,000 warriors, Comanche, Wichita, Caddo, and their allies, attacked Mission Santa Cruz de San Saba and burned it. The soldiers inside the Presidio walls survived by staying inside the walls. The Spanish abandoned the entire operation by viceregal decree in 1772. 15 years of investment, gone. Then the mission itself disappeared, not metaphorically. Its physical location went unknown for over 200 years. Researchers knew it had existed. They had Spanish colonial documents describing it. They simply could not find it. In 1993, archaeologists finally located the ruins in an alfalfa field east of Menard. 2 centuries under crops. The lost mission is now found. The Jim Bowie silver cache story. The knife fighter supposedly carving his name in the gate after hiding treasure nearby is legend, not verified fact. The Presidio is real, the attack is documented history, and the romance is where the record ends. The building was lost. The legend that replaced it was never quite true. Number 8, Alibates Flint Quarries, National Monument. 30 miles north-northeast of Amarillo, near Borger in the Texas Panhandle. More than 700 quarry pits scar a stretch of Canadian river breaks. Some are 5 feet across. Some run 25 feet wide and several feet deep. Every one of them was dug by hand, without metal tools, to reach a layer of flint that runs in bands of purple, red, pink, and white. What people now call rainbow flint, and what Ice Age hunters called the best tool material on the southern plains. Clovis hunters were working this site 13,000 years ago. They were making spear points here for hunting Columbian mammoths while the Great Lakes didn't yet exist. The Antelope Creek people mined the same flint between roughly 1200 and 1450 AD. Alibates material has been found traded across the Great Plains and well beyond. The same rock, the same panhandle quarry, spanning an unbroken human supply chain across more than 10 millennia. Looking into one of those pits, you were standing at a tool source that outlasted every civilization you were taught about in school. Not metaphorically older, measurably, verifiably older. The catch is honest. This site is solved. The mystery is not what happened here. The mystery is what it does to your sense of scale when you hold that number still. Not every ancient place is a riddle. Some are just old beyond comprehension. Number 7, Enchanted Rock, near Fredericksburg. 17 miles north of Fredericksburg, a pink granite dome rises 425 feet above the hill country on a footprint of some 640 acres. The granite itself cooled roughly 1 billion years ago from magma deep underground. The rock you are looking at is older than complex animal life on Earth. The Tonkawa, present here in the 16th century, said the summit was haunted. They described flickering ghost lights on the dome at night and sounds, groaning, creaking, popping, that came from the rock itself after dark. Those sounds are documented across every culture that spent time near this place. Geologists explain it without ambiguity. The dome absorbs heat from the sun all day and contracts as temperatures drop at night. The thermal expansion and contraction of an enormous granite mass produces exactly those sounds. The lights are likely caused by feldspar crystals in the rock catching moonlight at certain angles. The haunting is real. The explanation is complete. That is what makes this entry interesting. The Tonkawa weren't wrong that something was happening. They were accurately describing a physical phenomenon that geology now accounts for in full. Whether that answer satisfies you or makes the sound stranger when you're camping near the summit at midnight is your business. The rock isn't haunted. It's just doing what billion-year-old granite does. Number 6, the Rock Wall of Rockwall County. East of Dallas, buried beneath Rockwall County, there is a formation that entire municipalities have been built over without most residents knowing exactly what it is. Settlers struck it in 1852 while digging a well. It has since turned up in at least 11 separate locations across the county. Excavated sections range from 3 to 40 feet tall. In places, the exposed surface shows right-angle corners, stacked courses, and what look like buttresses. The county takes its name from this formation. There is no other county in Texas named for a geological feature that was once seriously debated as a human construction. Geologist Robert T. Hill examined it in 1901 and concluded it was a natural sandstone dike. Cracks opened in the earth approximately 80 million years ago, filled with sand and mineral-rich water, and cemented over time into rock harder than the surrounding material. The decisive evidence came from core samples. The rocks were magnetized as if they formed in place, not as if they were quarried elsewhere and stacked. UT Dallas geologists have confirmed the same conclusion. The ancient megastructure argument has never fully died locally. It's not hard to understand why. When a backhoe clips one of these buried sections and what comes up looks like a mortared wall with right-angle corners and stacked blocks, the visual argument for human construction is genuinely hard to dismiss while you're standing in the dirt. A county named for a wall that was never built. That's an honest kind of strange. Still ahead. A desert site where more than 200 painted ceremonial faces stare from the rock walls, and no one has confirmed who a single one of them represents. Number 5. Hueco Tanks. About 30 miles northeast of El Paso, 3 volcanic rock formations rise from the Chihuahuan Desert. Natural basins in the rock, Huecos, catch and hold rainwater, which made this one of the only reliable water sources across a wide stretch of desert. People have been coming here for more than 10,000 years because of it. There are over 3,000 pictographs on these walls. That number alone is significant. What sets Hueco Tanks apart from every comparable site in North America is one specific category within that count. More than 200 painted ceremonial masks. Human and deity faces, distinct from one another, covering the rock surfaces in concentrations found nowhere else on Earth. The layering tells 2 separate stories. The desert Archaic people left abstract marks here between roughly 6,000 and 3,000 BC. The Jornada Mogollon painted the masks between about 500 and 1450 AD. 2 distinct cultures, separated by thousands of years, both drawn to the same desert basin. Walk the rock face today, and those masks are still there. Wide eyes, bared teeth, elaborate headdresses, expressions that read as serene or unsettling depending on the angle of the light. More than 200 of them, each distinct, none identified. The art is authenticated, the cultures are named, and the specific meaning of what those faces represent remains genuinely uncertain. 200 faces, 10,000 years, 0 confirmed names. Number 4, Horn Shelter No. 2, Bosque County. On the west bank of the Brazos River, between Waco and Lake Whitney in Bosque County, there is a shallow limestone rock shelter that most people driving that stretch of road have never heard of. Excavations began there in 1966. What came out of the ground earned a category of its own. Inside the shelter, under stone slabs, lay 2 people, an adult male and a juvenile, buried together approximately 11,100 years ago. This is the only double burial from the Paleoamerican period ever recorded anywhere in North America. Not the oldest, not the largest, the only one. The grave goods are what make it haunting. Turtle shells, deer antler tools, bird claws, coyote teeth, snail shell beads, and a finely made bone needle. Small, precise, the kind of object that takes skill to produce and matters enough to bury with someone. The combination suggests the man may have been a shaman. The juvenile placed beside him may have been a family member, an apprentice, or something for which we don't have a modern word. Picture this. You're holding a catalog photo of those grave goods laid out in sequence. The needle, the teeth, the shells. You are looking at a relationship between 2 specific people 11,100 years old. You will never know what that relationship was. Neither will anyone else. The burial is real. Its meaning can be inferred but never confirmed. The only thing certain is that someone cared enough, 11,000 years ago, to do all of this with care. The only find of its kind ever recorded. And we still don't know what it meant to the people who dug it. 2 sites left before number 1, and number 1 may be actively rewriting what we thought we knew about when humans first reached this continent. But first, 3 earthen mounds in the East Texas pines that mark the outer edge of an entire lost world. Number 3, Caddo Mounds State Historic Site. 26 miles west of Nacogdoches, near the small town of Alto, 3 earthen mounds rise from the East Texas piney woods. 2 are flat-topped platform mounds. 1 is a burial mound. They were built by the Hassanai Caddo, with the site established around 800 AD and the major mound construction occurring between roughly 1100 and 1300. The mound builder culture extended across much of eastern North America. The same tradition that produced the enormous earthworks at Cahokia in Illinois, a site that at its height held a larger population than contemporary London. The Caddo Mounds near Alto represent the southwestern edge of that entire world. There is no comparable mound-building site further southwest. This is where the tradition stopped. Museum collections from this site hold roughly 200 artifacts spanning AD 750 to 1400. Standing on the platform mound, you are at the far frontier of something vast. A connected cultural network that linked communities across a continent, and this was its last outpost before the mound-building world simply ended. The site was founded, built over generations, and eventually left. Why this particular location became the boundary, and why it was abandoned, remains an open question. Every network has a limit. This was the limit. And no one has fully answered why it stopped here. Number 2, White Shaman, Mural, and the Lower Pecos, Val Verde County. About 40 miles west of Del Rio, near Seminole Canyon State Park in Val Verde County, the Pecos River cuts toward the Rio Grande through a series of limestone canyons. Within a 60-mile radius of where those two rivers meet, researchers have documented more than 350 pictograph sites. The concentration alone is unusual. What's in them is something else. The White Shaman panel runs 26 feet long and 13 feet high on a shallow rock shelter wall above the Pecos River. The paint, red, black, yellow, white, is thought to be as much as 4,000 years old. It was made by mobile hunter-gatherers who left no permanent settlements and no written records. Researcher Carolyn Boyd has spent decades arguing that this panel is not scattered imagery. Her reading is that it functions as a single sustained composition, meant to be read across from one end to the other, encoding what may be the oldest recorded creation narrative in North America. The birth of the sun, encoded in pigment above a river in Val Verde County. Standing before it, even without accepting Boyd's specific reading, the scale and the intention are hard to argue with. This was not improvised. Someone, or a community, over time, made deliberate choices about placement, sequence, and color across 26 feet of rock face. Whether Boyd's full interpretation holds up to continued scrutiny is a live debate among archaeologists. That the composition is ancient and deliberately structured is well supported. That is not a small thing. If Boyd is right, this is the oldest story ever told in North America. If she isn't quite right, it is still the oldest thing anyone is currently arguing about. Number 1, the Gault site, Williamson-Bell County line. Along Buttermilk Creek, on the Williamson-Bell County line near Florence, about an hour north of Austin, there is an excavation site that does not look like much from the road. A creek bank, some tents, people working slowly in the dirt with brushes and instruments. What they have pulled out of that ground has put the oldest story we tell about the Americas into genuine dispute. For most of the 20th century, the textbook answer was settled. The Clovis people were first. They arrived roughly 13,000 years ago. They spread quickly, and they were here before anyone else. That was not a fringe position. It was the consensus, backed by decades of archaeology across the continent. At Gault and the adjacent Deborah L. Friedkin site, Texas A&M's Michael Waters and colleagues recovered stone tools from sealed, undisturbed layers sitting beneath the Clovis material. Not beside it, beneath it, in soil that had not been disturbed. Dated by optically stimulated luminescence to roughly 13,200 to 15,500 years old. Gault itself shows evidence of human presence potentially reaching back 20,000 years. An entire previously unknown cultural assemblage called the Gault assemblage, predating Clovis by a margin that forces the question: who were these people? Where did they come from? And why didn't our model account for them? The work is peer-reviewed and published. It is taken seriously by mainstream archaeology. It is also formally contested by a number of archaeologists who have published specific critiques of the stratigraphy and the dating methodology. Both things are true simultaneously. The dates are real, the peer review is real, and the formal objections are real. That is what an active scientific controversy looks like from the inside. Not one side right and one side wrong yet, but both sides working the same dirt and reaching different conclusions. Every other site on this list is either solved or permanently uncertain. Gault is neither. It is in the middle of being resolved, and every field season the answer keeps getting older. That is the honest through line of this whole list. 12 sites, 12 different degrees of certainty. Some of these turned out to be geology, not mystery. A sandstone dike, a contracting granite dome, an ice age forest holding on. Some are real and ancient and genuinely unexplained, and will stay that way because the people who could answer the question lived 10,000 years before the question was asked. And one of them, one creek bank in Williamson County, is rewriting the first chapter of American history right now, in real time, with brushes and luminescence dates and peer-reviewed arguments that have not yet resolved. Texas has 12 ways to remind you that no one can explain it. Usually means one of two things. Either science already has the answer and the story just hasn't caught up, or the people working the dig site are still arguing and you are watching history get written in the dirt. Which of these surprised you most? The ones that turned out to be solved, or the one that's still genuinely open? Leave that in the comments. And if Gault keeps pushing human arrival back toward 20,000 years, the question becomes where those people came from and what other sites in Texas are still waiting to be found. That is the next video. If this list made you rethink something you thought you knew, like and subscribe. We're here every week, and the next one goes deeper.